Yo, 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 back with another episode of Sed Says. This particular one, we are doing it on the importance of Belong by game stores and the impact they have on the social perceptions within gaming and esports itself. The good thing with these sort of episodes is for Sed Says especially, it means I can kind of freeball it a little bit, rather than having completely planned out ones, which I like to do in a way because it just means I can come home, talk to the camera, and be like, "Yo, this is my thoughts on this process." Um, but one particular reason why I wanted to focus on the importance of Belong by game stores is recently, after especially seeing the BBC article or the BBC Three like Twitter post and seeing the responses from it and just the stupidity of certain people, then it is kind of then just kind of given me the thought process of how important these sort of stores are in terms of the influence that they have on the perceptions that people have on gaming and esports in general. So game stores themselves have existed for a long period of time, but they are predominantly just sales based in order to sell you a product or a service. Whilst the Belong by game stores are a lot better. So the kind of aim behind the Belong by game stores initially was cutting edge gaming arenas where you get the chance to play hard, test the latest tech, and join other like minded gamers across multiple platforms, including PC, PS4, and Xbox One. There's loads and loads of, well, there's a, I say loads, there's a fair amount of Belong by game stores already, but the good thing is they're in very key big locations across the UK, whether it be Cardiff, Manchester, Bristol, Colchester, Glasgow, and the London ones as well. There are more. So it's good to see that they are in key places over the country. But for me, the big thing is, and linking off from that BBC article, is that a lot of people still don't grasp the concept of what it is. People still look down on it, and I think one of the best examples for this is still kind of looking at the YouTube world in general and how perceptions of people do YouTube videos and kind of forming careers out of it and things like that, of how people initially assessed that. And it wasn't very good for the most part because the people from the outside world seem to get very jealous, very envious of the fact of there's the youth of today predominantly are being able to kind of make a living and a comfortable living in certain scenarios out of playing games and doing something they actually enjoy for a living. So personally, I do tend to feel that most people that get salty towards gaming and esports are people that for the most part, don't really like where they are. Because of that's where the jealousy side of it comes from, in the fact of they're not able to kind of follow what their dreams necessarily were, and to be able to have that kind of lifestyle that you kind of see attached towards the YouTube world and the gaming and esports worlds in general. So overall, where I want to kind of go with this is why they are so important on it is because of at the end of the day, to be having these sort of stores where people are walking by in like busy high streets, key locations across the country, where you're walking down the high street and you take a glance to the left and you see this store, and inside you just see like 25 PCs and you see flashing keyboards and you see all sorts of things. You see people getting quite ignited at playing games against each other, and people that don't necessarily see that or know of it, it's going to be a bit of a culture shock towards them. And even more so, especially with like the younger generation where they're going into these sort of stores and they're going in with their parents. And I think parents is a big one, especially just because if you see the esports world as it is, and you see so many professional players that have outright came out and said that the difficulties they had of trying to pursue a career within it because of the pressure put on them by parents, because of the overall lack of understanding towards it. So from that perspective, then it definitely helps when you're getting these parents come in and see that sort of environment and see how mainstream it is becoming by having these stores available, by walking into them, by seeing so many other people playing and seeing other people and competitions being held. It's absolutely vital to kind of gradually help esports and gaming become more accepted universally overall. And I don't think a lot of people will kind of look at it in this sort of perspective and give it the credit that it's due from what it actually does in that side of things. And I feel like overall we probably do need to start appreciating these sort of things more, because of there's still lots and lots of people within like just the UK gaming and esports scenes that more than likely do not have the most supportive parents when it comes to certain things that they're wanting to do. Now, even for me, from like a friend's perspective, there's still loads of people that don't specifically know how involved with these sort of things that I am and things like that. And being honest, it's just because I can't actually be asked to go through the explanation of it and saying this is why I do it, this is why I like it, this is why it's such a big thing, and getting involved in it and how important it actually is. Um, and loads of people I feel like are in a similar situation to that. And when you then see like the BBC articles that come out and the way that people react towards those sort of things, and it then entices you to not necessarily say these like what you do for a living, or if you're involved in gaming and esports overall, because of in a lot of scenarios to then speaking to people outside of it, a lot of the time people get negative reactions. So moving on from that, and why it's also more important is because of what they are doing and just the overall layouts and the kind of quality of the stores when you go in them. They're very, very well presented, they're very well laid out, so it's great for people being able to come in. But the fact that they're also holding more competitions around them as well. I've seen various players from different games within the UK attend their local game store, the belong by game stores, and play within tournaments and just mixing with random people as well. And it's great from that perspective to be able to get more and more people involved, and kind of moving forward with that. Over time, of course, it's not going to be a quick fix and straight away everyone's going to be like, wow, there's these belong by game stores. That must mean gaming is massive. Whoa, we're going to fully support it now. No matter what, you're always going to get a set group of people that don't see it for what it is, or just because they dislike the idea of it, that they jump on the bandwagon and start hating or whatever it necessarily is. Um, but over the course of time, and especially if they continue to open up more and more, then it will gradually help the natural perceptions of how people perceive gaming and esports overall. The one thing that I am quite key to, like, that is quite key for moving forward with these is kind of distinguishing the difference between belong by game stores and general LAN centers. So general LAN centers are for the most part quite dinky small little places, PCs laid out everywhere, terrible food for the most part. And yeah, I mean they are what they are. It's exactly what it says on the tin. It's nothing special, but they're there. However, game belong by game have decided to kind of one up that and step it up a level in terms of the environment that you're in when you're there. It's definitely a big step up from what you get from most normal land centers. So over the course of time, in theory, as more and more people see what it is and kind of walk past it and then maybe enticed to go in, then because of it's becoming more mainstream and we're seeing these stores more and more often, and like kids are then going to their parents being like, mum, can you take me down to here? Or just general, no matter what age group, people are going down there. And you're kind of seeing this influenced by like the meltdown esports bars as well, and how they're gradually doing the same thing, in terms of how it does help the social perceptions. And look, at the end of the day, we're never going to appeal to every single person. Like, it's the same for football, and I know so many people in football that just, or so many people that just don't like football in general. They just don't see the point of it. They find it boring, whatever it necessarily is. That's fine. Like, I personally have no problems if you dislike something, but the good old chestnut which keeps coming up, and this is where just modern day thought processes just baffle the shit out of me, is that fair enough, if you don't like something, you're not being forced to watch it. So why then make the complaints, etc., etc.? That's generally the kind of thought process that I'll have in those scenarios, and a lot of other people will as well. But continuing on as to why they are so important, for me, it's really, really big to be able to, because especially within UK esports, like I still come across so many people that are from the UK that don't even recognize that the UK esport, like there is a UK esports scene, that there are teams, that there are organizations playing, competing, living, you know what I mean, actually being paid a salary in order to play these sort of games. And a lot of people within the UK still don't acknowledge that, don't even see it as a thing. Um, so overall, the continued marketing that you get from these stores is inevitably just gonna, as time goes on, continue to grow and continue to attract more people in it. And I'm pretty sure on one of the statistics that Game put out themselves was like 20% of people that they're getting walking into these three long by game stores are actually new customers that are not people that go into normal game stores and purchase things and do it that way. They're just going into them to kind of use their facilities of what they have. And there are more to it apart from the general PCs, PlayStations, Xboxes, etc. You have like the VR side of things as well, which can also attract a slightly different demographic, which is also good. But yeah, overall, this is just a small little episode of me just kind of rambling on about how important it is. It isn't very structured at all. I just kind of want to get the point out there that people need to kind of be grateful that these sort of things are actually happening within the scene, and it's great to see personally, and long may it continue. Um, Obviously, as we know, like Belong by Game and game stores in general, and then you've got the likes of multiplayer that are all tied together because they're owned by Game itself. And it's genuinely good to see of how much they're doing, as much as we might all have slight pitfalls about certain things, e.g. insomnia related scenarios, but at the same point the Belong by Game stores are looking very, very good. I strongly urge people, if you are close to one, to by all means just go down there, see what's going on. You can get yourself involved. Like, I've seen so many little tournaments come out of it, of how involved they get certain people, especially people that do actually play at a competitive level. So it's really, really good to see from that perspective. And yeah, the whole summary of this video is literally just to kind of give that thought process into people that might actually watch this video, to the point where they can say, actually, yeah, that's a really good point. The influence that they do have on those sort of things is really, really big. And that's literally the basic fundamental of it. So that will be the end of the video. It is a Sed Says episode, so they're not long. It's just base points of that I want to try and raise, so people can understand it a little bit more. But that will be the end. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, hate, whatever it is you feel like doing today, my friends. And that will be the end of the video. So peace.